Donald Trump squeezes and presses on Venezuela. Even more Minnesota fraud. Yes, that is true. There's a lot more. And Fulton County's 2020 problem. We're going to break everything down for you folks, along with all the other major headlines that are currently breaking. Well, you have Donald Trump sending in a massive naval buildup in the Caribbean. President Trump announced new efforts to crack down on Venezuela's socialist regime. The Coast Guard and Navy have seized now 2 dark fleet tankers used by Venezuela to ship its oil under other countries' flags. And it seems like there are some people that are totally acceptable. This is acceptable to some people. And how do I know? Is because I do videos of short form videos on TikTok that tell people, just the news, not really even giving my opinion, just say, hey, this is what's going on. And it's amazing how people are like, oh, well, we're pirates, which Donald Trump wants to bring back. Pirates, by the way, that is a real story. Donald Trump wants to bring back pirates again, which is kind of cool if you think about it. But what we're watching unfold in the Caribbean right now is not random. I mean, it's all strategic. President Trump just made a very deliberate move. And that move is a show of force. And he always says peace through strength. And the message is far bigger than Venezuela. Now, as you know, over the past several days, we have been moving ships kind of all around. And now we're seeing the so-called dark fleet oil tankers being seized. And these are vessels, once again, that are being used by Venezuela to illegally, that's important, illegally ship oil under foreign flags to evade U.S. sanctions. Yeah, that's not allowed. But what's odd is some people, they think this should be okay. And the key point that most headlines are missing is this isn't just about stopping ships. It's about cutting off the oxygen supply to hostile regimes. No, we're live on Rumble right now. We're live. We are over there on Rumble. And warning every other bad actor watching closely. China, Russia, Iran, Colombia. So let's start with what a dark fleet actually is. These are tankers that operate in the shadows of global shipping. We've also described them as ghost ships. They fly flags of convenience, constantly changing ownership of paper that we talked about. They disable their tracking transponders and conduct ship-to-ship transfers at sea. There are a lot of people that believe there's drugs on these vessels. I haven't seen anything that has spoken to that yet. So that's why I am reserving my news on that one, but take it. Some of you might think, oh yeah, that would make sense. Maybe, but I haven't seen anything of that nature. Again, this is to hide the origin of sanctioned oil. That's the entire purpose of what they're doing here. They're doing nefarious things. So whether it's Venezuelan, Iranian, Russian, you're not allowed to sneak the stuff into the global market. And for years, Venezuela has relied on shadow networks to survive sanctions. Well, Donald Trump's saying not anymore. And again, oil matters here, especially to Venezuela. And people, I don't know. People act like you're just making this stuff up. It's all, you can Google all of this. That's the amazing thing nowadays. You can just Google. They have an AI called Atlas that you can use. You can use ChatGPT. You can use Grok AI. I mean, there's all this AI that you could just fact check in real time, whoever you're listening to. Oil sales account for overwhelmingly the majority of government revenue, foreign currency, regime stability. I mean, it's so obvious. And for some reason, people, again, want to pretend that it's not the obvious thing. And it always comes from one side of the aisle. And it's never really the right side. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some weirdos on the right-hand side of the aisle. But most people on the left, it almost seems like, on the left-hand side of the aisle, want to pretend like certain things aren't happening. Or they'll say, oh, well, this is happening too. Correct. Yeah, but I'm talking about the contributing factor here. There's always multiple variables that go into pretty much everything. But as always, you guys know, we got to act silly. What's going on, Big Weave? I feel like it's been a hot minute, dude. Good to see you. Same thing with Shroba. And this wasn't just the Coast Guard acting alone. Again, you have like a coordination between multiple agencies here. So you have the U.S. Navy that's involved. You have the Coast Guard is involved, but also federal law enforcement. And that level of coordination tells you that this thing isn't just a one-off. They're currently tracking another one right now. And Donald Trump was asked about it because he was doing a conference yesterday talking about the Trump fleet, where he's going to bring back these battleships, but they're going to be like bigger and stronger than ever, is what he said. And he was questioned about Venezuela, and he was specifically questioned about that third ship that people didn't know if we're tracking or whatever. He goes, yeah, we're going to take it. That's what he said. It's like, okay, so we should have another ship. He was also asked in the briefing yesterday about what he plans on doing with the oil. I don't know. That's what he said. He goes, I love doing the Trump impression because I crack myself up. He goes, I don't know. Maybe we'll keep it for ourselves. Maybe we'll sell it. Maybe we'll keep it for the strategic reserve. Like I said, he's getting more nasally. It's true, he is. And you know it. You guys hear it too in his voice. He's getting more nasally. And then they asked him, well, what are you going to do with the ships? Yeah, we're keeping them. Like, just blunt as it could be. It was awesome. There was no like, I'm going to have to read between the lines here. He's like, yeah, no, we're keeping it all. It's ours. Thank you. That one's ours. That ship is mine. I'm going to take a third one. Oopsie. But like, give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying what you're hearing and seeing. But here's the story that gets bigger than Venezuela. As I've told you guys in the past, you're talking about Iran, you're talking about Russia, you're talking about China. And it really goes to any regime that has sanctions or is using sanction busting networks to fund their anti-American activity. That's also why I do think, as much as we love TikTok and TikTok is great, I do think it was very important to have ByteDance divest from a portion of TikTok and allow Americans to have it. Because what a lot of Americans don't realize is that you can have nefarious actions being conducted on behalf of the CCP that is intentionally giving Americans divisive content that keeps them fighting with one another. In a way, it's kind of like distracting. I don't always like to use the word distraction because you can always walk and chew gum at the same time. Is that I could talk about the Epstein files, but I can also talk about what's going on with these vessels at the same time in the same show. I never understood that idea. And I get this a lot, even on the Republican side. They go, oh, well, this is just a distraction. Not really. I mean, it's all news. Well, again, but we have to play dumb. We always have to play dumb. It's just a distraction. Are you that tunnel visioned on one thing that you can only focus on that one thing? You can't focus on all the other stuff that's happening around the world. I mean, there's a ton of news articles. It doesn't have to. You can find news articles in every country, everywhere. It's so odd to me. People, oh, you're being distracted. No, I'm not. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? It's silly. You're not distracted. Right now, you have this news segment. In the next 5-10 minutes, we're going to go to another news segment. Are you going to say we're distracted about that one and totally disregard the first one? I don't know. It's silliness. It's all silly. This is classic Trump foreign policy that's taking place. He's not doing any nation building that we've tried to do in the past with George W. We're not in some endless ground war. There's no speeches about international norms while doing nothing. You saw that a lot from the Biden administration. Instead, we're targeting the money. We're watching where these shadow networks are going. We're gathering intelligence. We're disrupting the logistics, baby. And we're applying pressure where it hurts most. And nobody's, knock on wood, nobody's losing their life. We're seizing assets that are there illegally in international waters. Fair game, baby. Fair game. Trump has always believed that if you control trade routes, shipping lanes, you don't need to invade anybody. That's exactly what it looks like. And obviously this is rattling Maduro because Maduro can call this piracy all he wants. He's a little bit right, by the way, and it's freaking cool. And he, like, anytime I talk about piracy and Donald Trump, the new music should be the Pirates of the Caribbean music. Bum, bum, ba, da, 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 da. Da 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 da. Bum bum ba da 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 da. Trump should totally come out with a pirate hat. Like that Johnny Depp pirate hat for Pirates of the Caribbean. By the way, is it Caribbean or is it Caribbean? That's a question that we need to answer. That's serious. Okay, Caribbean or Caribbean? Every seized tanker raises insurance costs, by the way, scares off middlemen, increases risk premiums, and shrinks the pool of willing buyers. Well, not just that, but nobody's going to want to deal with you anymore, knowing that they just spent a lot of money on these oil tankers to get to said wherever, and now it's the United States now. So not only did we take their oil that they paid for, so we got it for free, we stole it, but we got the ship. You know what I mean? Donald Trump's going to have his own fleet of oil tankers, and you know he's going to repaint them in black and gold, and it's going to have Trump on the side of it, and it's going to say Trump Fleet. Trump's going to open up his own government oil business. Jeez, dude. Oh, goodness. So we have that going on. That was a little bit of an update with that second ship, but also that third ship that's taking place right now. And I love it. Look, hey, not only are they sending drugs down here, or I guess up here for them, but also, look, there's sanctions on you. You don't get to be bad actors and circumvent sanctions and do it for years and have no repercussions. They wouldn't like it if we did that. I mean, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it, but you get what I'm saying. That's not allowed. Trump is refilling our reserves for free. Yeah, well, yeah, basically. Well, he hasn't put it in the reserves yet, but the hope is that he does. I mean, he said that was an option. I think it's a good option because Joe Biden, it's amazing, right? We take oil from people that are doing nefarious things, trying to circumvent the system and kind of sell and buy oil in these shadow markets. So we seize those assets and fill our strategic reserve while Joe Biden, remember how he was sending millions of barrels of oil to China? And it just so happened to be the same exact province of China that Hunter Biden had business dealings in. Isn't that a wild thing? So he takes our oil reserve that is used for natural disasters and some emergencies on a state level and sells it off or sends it off to China. Really? That's for us, dude. Not for China, not for anybody else but us in case there's a natural disaster, which we know happens a lot, by the way. Goodness gracious. Well, we're getting into some more Minnesota fraud here. And it just, by the way, Minnesota is the one that's being beaten up. This is happening in Illinois. It's happening in California. It's happening in every Democrat-ran area. Oregon, Washington. I'll tell you what, we would be able to do a news article if people actually looked under the hood. We'd be able to do one every hour for state of California. I mean, the billions, the hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. It's astronomical in this state. It really is. So Minnesota is kind of the punching bag right now, but all eyes need to be turned on California. Let me tell you, 9 billion with a B vanished in Minnesota's fraud explosion. Oh boy. For years, Minnesota politicians and the media tried to dismiss this as a handful of bad actors. Yeah, it was just one or two. Kind of like they did with the election, right? Yeah, it's a clerical mistake. Really, that spike was a clerical mistake? Is that what that was? Okay. You know, they're playing it off that this 9 billion, folks, was, it's a little waste. Yeah, it's some paperwork issues. Yeah, Kathy didn't know what she was doing over there in accounting. It's nothing systemic. That's what we're told. That's the stuff they're peddling and pushing, folks. Well, the narrative just collapsed because this week, a federal prosecutor used words you don't hear lightly, especially from the government. He called it, quote, industrial scale fraud. Oh, boy. So here's the bombshell. At a press conference, federal prosecutor John Thompson, sorry, it's Joseph Thompson, but John just, he sounds like a John. Joseph Thompson revealed that as much as $9 billion in taxpayer money may have been stolen in Minnesota. If you told me $100 billion was stolen at this point, I just wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, I'd be like, yeah, makes sense. Isn't that sad? By the way, if you told me that $1 trillion was stolen in the state of California, hand to God, I would not be baffled. I think, yeah, been saying it for years. 5+ years I've been saying the state is fraudulent. Whatever. I mean, let that sink in, though. We're not talking about millions. We're not talking about hundreds of millions. We're talking about billions with a B, you guys. And it wasn't one program. It wasn't one agency. And it wasn't just 1 year. I mean, the scope of this is really staggering. According to Thompson, 14 taxpayer-funded programs are under scrutiny. Those programs cost taxpayers $18 billion since 2018. Up to half that money or more may have been fraudulent. Oh, boy. Let's see. Is this person just to go? Let's go show of hands in the chat and in the comment section if you're watching this later. Do you think this is Democrat? Do you think this is Republican? Because it has to do with values and ideas and ideology. I mean, it can't be. Look, I've always said if a conservative does something unconservative, usually they're not a conservative. Right? Conservatives are those that want to conserve values, traditions, things that we have seen work for a long period of time that build up society, not just on a societal level, but also build you up on an individualized level as well. So if you do something that's out of the realm of what conservatism is, you're not inherently a conservative then. There you go, Mizzy. I think it's a Democratic problem as well. Now, I'm not saying this doesn't happen in Republican areas, right? That'd be silly. It does. But again, it's all about hierarchy of level of fraud. And, well, I think they blow it out of the water. So that's a lot of money. Why Minnesota, though? Because fraud does happen everywhere, like we've been saying. But Minnesota has been uniquely bad. They've been bad actors, bad people. And by the way, it's not speculation. That's what the feds are now saying. While other states tightened oversight, Minnesota expanded programs rapidly. They lowered their verification standards. Do you notice that whenever you lower the standards, you get more of the wrong behavior? You see it in the education system. You see it in the entertainment industry with their lack of writing scripts and coming up with novel ideas and things that are actually interesting. So that's been lowered. You know what's funny is now that you have these great authors coming out with writing more, fantasy books, but also just books in general. If you notice, books have gotten bigger and bigger over the years. They're like that big now, some of these books. That's because the standard's been raised in the writing industry for these authors. There's a level of writing now that is peak, man, and it's booming. But all these other industries, because they lower their standards, are just collapsing left and right. So lowering verification standards, just lowering standards in general, never helps anybody. And by the way, that goes with conservatism again, because it doesn't help the individual. When you lower your own standards for yourself, you're going to meet those low standards. Will you exceed them? Yeah, but they're already so low to where that exceeding of that standard isn't enough to keep you progressing forward in a positive manner that's going to get you where you want to be. It's the same thing on a societal level. When we lower standards, you're going to get very low productivity. You're going to get low morale. You're going to get low virtue. You're going to get low everything. And then you allow people to come in that want to change your culture. Well, now that your standard's so low in your own culture, that when a standard is high for another culture and you're allowing mass migration to come in your country, well, guess what culture wins? Not the low standard one, let me tell you, which is the American standard currently. It's the other one that you're allowing immigrate into your country. And that's why they're winning. Because our standards suck right now because nobody holds themselves to a high standard. Added DEI style preference systems is what they also allowed. I don't think anybody in the chat is shocked over that one, that they allowed DEI to run rampant in their areas. It turns out when you restrict the pool of applicants, doesn't matter what that pool is, you stop from allowing everybody else to get into that pool of applicants. Well, now you're restricted to what you can because you lowered your standards. How'd you lower your standards? Well, quite literally, because now you have a lower amount of people that you're able to pull from. And also, you gotta love this one. This is the big one. They failed to aggressively investigate red flags, even when there was whistleblowers. Y'all remember that one? Even when you had guys come out and say, hey, I just want to let you know that there's a lot of fraud taking place here, and I think you need to investigate it. Oh, yeah, well, how would you know? I work with the guy. Yeah, he's peddling billions. I see it, laundering money everywhere. They just turned a blind eye to it. Into the tune of billions before. It's so crazy, dude. And obviously the result of all of it is a perfect environment of exploitation, right? I mean, that's what you're going to get. There you go. Exactly. Anyone can say they're conservative. You prove it by your actions in life and also truthfully your words, but more importantly, your actions. Yes. And we all fall short. Look, we all fall short, including myself. We're not perfect, but conservatism is a movement and it starts with you as an individual. It starts with you as an individual and you want to expand that to your family. And you expand that to your family, to your local community. That could be your neighborhood. That could be your church, your synagogue, whatever it is. And that expands to a local level, then to a state level, then to a federal level. It's so funny because when you go to church and you see your fellow people of faith, if that's what you want to call them. I mean, they're your churchgoers, your brothers and sisters, or you go to your synagogue or whatever. You go to mass. It doesn't matter. You're going to church. What's interesting is you have Democrats or Republicans in there. But you know what's interesting is, especially when you go to like a Catholic mass or something. I'm not Catholic. I'm actually Christian. I grew up Baptist. Actually, I grew up Catholic. My mom learned Catholicism in Latin, and so did my grandma. That's how old school Catholics they are. But I actually through college became a non-denominational Christian after that. So anyways, here nor there. Most people in there are actually conservative in terms of a religious level. I mean, by definition, right? But religion and faith, it's inherently holds on to conservatism to conserve the faith. You know what I mean? Like, especially Catholicism with all the rituals and the stuff that they do. I mean, it's so crazy to me that they go, oh, conservatism's so bad. I'm like, bro, you are a conservative just on a religious level. What are you talking about? Like, look at yourself in mass right now. You know what I mean? Not that you're talking politics in mass, but you get what I'm saying. So where are we at here? Ah, yes, there is a Somali connection to this one as well. And the connection does matter because this part, unfortunately, makes people a little uncomfortable. But it's the ignoring of it doesn't really matter. And it's not going to make it disappear. A significant proportion of these fraud cases are tied to networks operating within Somali communities within Minnesota, particularly nonprofits and contractors that were entrusted with massive sums of taxpayer money. That does not mean all Somali immigrants. I always have to throw that in there, you guys, in my show notes, because you will find, and I know you've seen this, that there's a lot of people that cannot separate that you're not talking about everybody. Do you know what I mean? Like when I talk about Democrats, I'm not talking about all Democrats. I'm actually talking about a very specific type of Democrat, the left. Most Democrats are fine. Most Democrats believe in what we believe. I mean, they're like an RFK Jr. or Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk style Democrat, Joe Rogan. I mean, Joe Rogan's probably more independent than anything, or like a Tim Pool. But there are these crazies out there on the left. Look, there's on the right as well, but we're a conservative show. We're spotlighting the hypocrisy of the progressive left. And again, it doesn't mean their entire community. There's good Somalis out there. I mean, it'd be crazy to say otherwise. There's good people out there. But pretending the pattern doesn't exist is how this got bad in the first place. But you have to pretend, especially when it does get bad in that party. You want to know how I know? Because I live in the state of California, folks. They've trashed my state. And then they pretend like everything's fine. You will have a guy defecating in front of you and peeing on your leg while you're eating a burrito at a restaurant outside, and you have to pretend like this is normal. Now, I'm kidding slightly, not by much, by the way. Maybe not peeing on your leg, but definitely peeing right in front of you. And these people in the state of California, these Democrats, pretend like it's not happening. There's a guy that will crap in his hand and throw it at your car at a red light. You have to pretend like that's normal. I am not kidding. You have to, all this stuff that's happening, that's Democrat caused, you have to pretend it's all normal, that it's not happening either. It's the craziest thing to me. And then because on the outside in public, they have to pretend like it's normal. But then when they go inside their homes, they have to talk about it. Oh my God, did you see that guy that was pissing all over John's leg while he was eating a burrito? Can you believe it? And John just took it. Well, what is he going to do? Fight a homeless guy that you voted for and enabled through your taxpayer money to be here, where you're paying him $600 a week or a month to live on the coast of the California down there in Venice Beach, which was a real thing, by the way. They were paying him money, $600 a month. Saw it on Fox News. Even the guy was like, the homeless guy that was interviewed goes, well, why would I leave? I have beachfront property. The guy that's 30 yards behind me is paying millions of dollars in rent. I got the best property here. I'm 30 yards closer to the beach than him, and I'm getting paid to live here. That's a real thing. Fox News did it. Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah, the pattern doesn't, this whole thing doesn't disappear, but you could pretend that it does. Even federal prosecutors are now saying the fraud was concentrated, repeated, and coordinated. What makes this worse, again, is the denial phase. For years, state leaders downplayed the losses. They delayed investigations, even though people freaking waving red flags everywhere. And then they blamed administrative complexity. They accused critics of racism. Yeah. I wanted to make sure I left that one as a banger at the end, because it's always racism, right? Whenever you want to look under the hood, oh, why? Is it because they're Somali? Is it because their skin's darker than yours? Is that why you want to look into the hood? Huh? Is that why you want to look at the paper? Is that why you want to look at the feta, the hard cheese? Huh? Is that what you want to look at? Then you're a racist. Why else would you want to look into the Somali community, you racists? You bigots? Are you kidding me? That's how it's always portrayed. And so what happens is, and by the way, we talk about this in my book, Trojan Horse, How the Left Destroys America, specifically when it comes to policing, is that you actually would have under-policing in that regard, when in this case we're talking about the black community, because you don't want to deal with the BS that has to go with it afterwards. Because all you're going to be labeled is, why'd you pull that guy over? Well, he ran 3 stop signs, 4 red lights, and did some donuts in the middle of the intersection, hit an old lady in the crosswalk. I figured that, that was kind of enough, so I'd pull him over. No, you're racist. Why even bother? By the way, it happens in the school system. Is that you don't even want to look at a black person the wrong way, because they'll label you as a racist, and then your job's on the line. And I'm not kidding, by the way. I am dead serious. Why'd you tell him to stop? Why didn't you tell the other kid to stop? Why'd you tell him? Why'd you tell the black kid to stop talking? Because he was the only one talking? Oh, really? So you're telling me the guy over there wasn't talking? No. That kid's actually a mute. He can't even talk. He can't even hear. He's deaf. He doesn't even know you're here. He's also blind. So I'm being silly, but that's the case where you under police, you under give consequences to people, because this whole racism thing is constantly being peddled, where you're like, I don't even want to deal with it. And that's true in the education system. That's true in the corporate world. That's true everywhere. Everybody's so tired of being called a racist all the time. You're like, fine, act a buck, be silly. And that doesn't matter if you're Asian, white, black, Hispanic, doesn't matter what you are. It goes underreported. And that's why crime runs rampant. And that's why stuff like this happens. You don't want to be labeled a racist. So why put your job on the line? Sometimes it is easier just to look the other way and be like, all right, whatever. I didn't see that fraud happening. There's Joe Schmo stealing Joey Bag of Donuts, millions of dollars again. Shout out to Dan Bongino for the Joey Bag of Donuts reference. But the money kept flowing, folks. Now the same officials are acting shocked. Yeah, shocked that the fraud numbers are so high. What? I can't believe it. Really? Oh. No idea that this could have happened. Because we have to pretend. We have to play stupid. Because when we play stupid, then we have a reason to go, oh, billions, huh? How did that, how hard it is to, clearly it's easy, but you know how difficult it is to fudge some numbers to the tune of billions of dollars? I was an accountant, a public accountant. That is very hard to do when you get audited. Nonprofits have to be audited by law. I used to audit nonprofits. So wild to me, dude. This didn't happen overnight. This happens because oversight failed deliberately is how this happened. And industrial scale fraud, it does not happen by accident. They'll tell you it does. Oh, that's just Kathy pushing paper the wrong way. Kathy, you silly knucklehead. You don't lose billions unless you ignore warning signs, Whistleblowers are sidelined. Audits are delayed. Gee. Political pressures discourage scrutiny. I mean, at some point, incompetence stops being an excuse. But, nothing will happen to these people. How do we know? Well, look at Hillary Clinton. I hate to bring her in the mix. Actually, we have a photo of, I actually got this. I've been meaning to show this to you guys. I got a figurine of, and somebody gifted me this, a figurine of Hillary Clinton. Yeah. I actually, you know what, now that I brought her up, I'm looking at her right now. I'm holding it. It's right here. She wanted to say hi. This is Hillary. Everybody say hi to Hillary. Hi. And the big old booty. All right, enough of that. She wants to say bye. Sorry, enough of that. Settle down in the chat. I crack myself up. I should not be allowed to have this too much. I'm having too much fun. Brad, you need to settle down. All righty. Oh, you want to see her? Okay, all right, we'll bring her out again. All right. She's shy. Oh, God. Anyways, well, Hillary, I mean, she had a whole server in her bathroom because that's a normal thing. I take a shower before the show. I get all dolled up for you guys. And I'm in there and I'm thinking, what would happen if I just randomly put a server in my bathroom? Has anybody seen what a server looks like, by the way? Usually it has this big old black box that goes up like taller than you are. And you slide the servers in with all the cables. Yeah, no, it's a good look for a bathroom. That's completely normal. Nothing happened to her. Geez, what about all the whistleblowers over in Benghazi? I am telling you, there's such an overlap that we're seeing here with this Minnesota stuff where the warning signs are ignored. Benghazi, there's an example. Whistleblowers are sidelined. Gee, people in Benghazi came out and said, hey, we're looking at an attack. All this stuff's not looking good. We need your help. Audits are delayed. You didn't want to look under the hood of what's actually taking place. And then political pressure discourages scrutiny. Well, I mean, the things that happened to Hillary and the Democrat Party are totally linear here. It's a rough analogy, but it's there. Goodness gracious. So why this matters beyond Minnesota is because this isn't just a state story. I mean, it's a national warning. We know other states are doing this. I mean, Minnesota used the same model that's being pushed federally. I mean, there's massive spending that's occurring. You have identity-based prioritization, reduced enforcement that was happening under the Biden administration and previous administrations. And no wonder you saw all this fraud. I mean, you saw it with Doge. Elon Musk exposed all of it. And he's still exposing all of it. And you just have a feeding frenzy. I mean, if $9 billion can disappear in one state, imagine what's happening nationally. You have hundreds of billions of dollars just poof, gone, fraudulent money. Well, no wonder you have these people that are doing so well. Have you've all met that person, right? You're like, bro doesn't do anything. How's that guy able to afford that? The guy's a ditz, you know what I mean? You could tell he doesn't have his head on straight, and you're wondering, like, how is this guy making it? He just buys like a new yacht, just here. Like, bro, you never made socks, but you can't even tie your shoes. Your shoes are Velcro. What do you mean? And you're out here selling software. You don't know how to code. You don't even own a computer. You raise questions. I got a lot of them with zero answers. Well, what happens next? Federal investigators are now digging deeper. You're going to see hopefully more indictments, or just any indictment. I shouldn't even say more. Any indictments are expected, please. More programs are being audited and more uncomfortable facts are about to come out. I don't care about any of this. I care about consequences. Are people going to go to jail? There's options. There's options here. You can either go to jail because you stole a lot of money, or you can give that money back and do community service. I like giving people options. You give them the choose. And believe it or not, some people are going to choose jail time. It's a long time. And maybe they don't have the money anymore. But I think you should give that. I think you should give them the opportunity to pay it back immediately. Sometimes that's selling the $10-20 million house that they bought that they didn't originally couldn't able to afford. You could afford it. You want to know how I know that? Because you're the ones that paid for all of it. Yeah, we could afford a $20 million house together. We could be roommates. So anyways, more money being taken out of Minnesota. This is not a repeat story, by the way. That was a new story of new fraud that occurred. It's insane, man. Absolutely insane. Well, we got more insane news coming up here, folks, for you in just one moment. If you get over to baldbrad.com, tis the season. And we do have a donation tab up here at the top. Don't feel like you have to. But look, we don't have sponsors or anything. I mean, I suppose we do over at Rumble. Rumble is generous to offer us sponsorships. But this is our main sponsor here, is baldbrad.com, where you can make a healthy donation to our show. None of it goes into my pocket. None of it's being spent on Christmas gifts and all this stuff. It goes back into the show. It buys like a monitor, or buy like a new camera lens or a new camera because our camera broke. I mean, we're frugal here, so we save up over a long period of time to be able to get this stuff. So don't feel like you have to, but it's there if you feel like you're getting something out of this. And you can do weekly, monthly, one time. You could put in a custom amount. I mean, heck, you could put in, look at that, $1. You could put in $1. And believe it or not, people do that. I think people put in $2 is like the one that I see most often if somebody does put in a lower amount. Low amount's fine, hard-earned money. But that's there for you. Tis the season, tis the holiday. And we also obviously have a book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. And matter of fact, let me see. Are we sold out still? That still blows my mind, dude. Let me see if we restocked. I cannot believe that we sold out. You can get on Kindle. I mean, that's why we have the Kindle version here. Nope, we are still out of stock on everything. Wow. You could buy used, though. Yeah, you could buy used hardcover. Wow, wow, wee wow. Huh. You know what's interesting is people buy, you can see how what people also buy when they get your book. They're also buying Charlie Kirk stuff, Mark Levin, Glenn Beck. That's so interesting that there's such an overlap in our audiences between Turning Point USA, my audience, and Glenn Beck's audience, The Blaze. Mostly The Blaze, actually. We have more overlap than anything with The Blaze. Alrighty, well, Fulton County admits it broke election rules, and the media just shrugs it off. This is a big story. And yeah, we're going to election fraud. Hit that thumbs up button, please. Thank you. And thank you very much. For 5 years, Americans were told one thing over and over and over again. There were no irregularities in this whole election. Everything was done by the book. Questioning the process is dangerous. It's the most free and fair election that's ever existed. You guys remember that one? That one's the bonkers one. It's the most free and fairest election. As CNN catches that individual just freaking ballot harvesting, just pushing all these ballots into a box. Matter of fact, let me see if I can get that clip for you. It's always a gold mine of a clip, because CNN was the one that was telling us, one of the many that was telling us, oh, it's completely fine. Hold on, let me see. I could probably get this up pretty quick. That's what she said. Hold on. Let's see if we could get this clip. I have to find it for you. It's so funny. Wow. I guess oh, here it is. Yes. Somebody else has it on their TV, but it will work. It will work.
I'm standing next to the ballot drop box in Cleveland, Ohio. And I said,
by the way, the dude's wearing a mask outside, outdoors.
Purposely, because this is the only ballot drop box in Cleveland, Ohio. The only ballot drop box in Cuyahoga County, Ohio. You can see this woman right here casting her vote. Did you vote for Reagan or Jimmy Carter? Carter. Okay.
Look at all of that. Yo, and there's more. There's more in that van because she has her door open, yo. She's looking to go back and stuff more.
We don't want to get too personal with people here, but you can see there's actually a traffic jam.
Yeah, actually, if you look behind you, there's a huge traffic jam because she's taking so long to stuff this ballot box. Yo, do you know how many ballots you have to put in a ballot box to cause a traffic jam? I mean, how long you pull up like a drive-through, you roll down your window, you don't have to crank it anymore like the old days. You remember that? You go, and you just bring the window down, you put it in the box and you drive off. 30 seconds tops. Yeah, it's going around the block. Just massive fraud happening. Love fraud. Yeah. No irrelate. No irrelate. I can't even talk. I can't even talk. I'm just laughing so hard. Everything's done by the book. No irregularities. I can't even say it. Hold on a second. Let me take a swig of coffee. I'm sweating. Oh, God. She caused a traffic jam. It's so mind-blowing. I've seen that clip so many times, and I've never caught that. I've seen that clip at least 50 times. That's the first time. God, dude. That's fine. Everything's being done by the book, you guys. Oh, boy. Okay, where were we? Hold on. All right, we're back. We're back. Well, the entire narrative just completely cracked in Georgia. It completely fell apart. Because Fulton County has now admitted it violated state election rules in the 2020 election. Uh-oh. Weird, because wasn't Georgia a close call? This is at an official Georgia State Election Board meeting, by the way. Here's what just came out. Election officials acknowledged that Fulton County failed to properly certify ballots in the 2020 election. I'm shocked. I can't believe it. Oh. What? Huh? Really? They would never do such a thing. Specifically violating rules governing tabulation tapes and zero tapes. And this isn't some minor clerical issue. Under Georgia law, tabulation tapes must be signed by election workers. Those signatures certify the machines started at zero and accurately recorded votes. Unsigned tapes are not valid certification. But in Fulton County, most of them weren't even signed. Huh. Weird. Now, that might not mean anything. And the reason why I bring that up is that maybe it was like, maybe there's only 10 ballots in Fulton County. Anybody want to take a guess? Don't Google it. Take a guess on how many ballots were not signed. Just take a guess. Just put in a little number in there in the chat box. Let's see. Let's see what number you got. How many of these bad boys were not signed? 11,000. Mizzy has 11. Okay. I need more coffee. Go get yourself another cup, Dixie Dogs. Come on, put them in. Put the number. I'm moving forward till you put a number in your head and you tell me what that number in your head is. Over a million? Get out of here. Jeff is drinking again. Jeff, get off the alcohol. For life's sake. 315,000. Approximately 315,000 ballots. I mean, let that number land. Just think of 315,000. I mean, that's not a precinct, folks. That's not a neighborhood. That's essentially every early in-person vote casted in Fulton County in 2020. 315,000 ballots certified without following the rules. By the way, please understand, this wasn't disputed. It was admitted in the meeting. This isn't conspiracy. We were called conspiracy theorists. Don't get me wrong. Oh, you tinfoil hat Republicans. You can never just accept the elections, blah, blah, blah. Not when we know what's going on, yo. This is nuts. We all saw it, though, right? We all knew this was happening. But the reason why we couldn't talk about it much is because they deplatformed us, right? They censored and silenced us, which is what they're still doing here on YouTube. They don't want the truth to get out there, even though people are admitting to doing it. What's crazy is we're in the realm now of censoring people's speech to where you can literally just have the person next to you that committed the crime telling you into the mic that they committed the crime, and they'll still censor you for misinformation, disinformation on YouTube, just because they don't like the narrative that you're peddling. And it's always against conservatives, and it's always against Republicans. Very rarely is it against ever of the progressive left. They can say whatever the hell they want, and they get away with it. The county officials did not deny it. They didn't refute the facts. They didn't claim conspiracy, even though they did before. They literally admitted to it. At a December 9th meeting of the Georgia State Election Board, officials effectively acknowledged that the required signatures were missing and that this violated state election procedures. That admission was first reported by the Federalist. So if you want to go over to the Federalist, that's where this is coming from, by the way. So let's be very clear here. This does not mean anyone proved fraud. Anyone knows how votes would change. Anyone is claiming machines switched votes, but it does mean something critical, that the rules were broken and the ballots were still certified anyways. Well, why do these rules exist in the first place then if you're just going to violate them? Well, they exist to verify machines started at zero. It creates a chain of custody, ensure accountability, prevent after-the-fact manipulation. It's no different than checks themselves, that when you write a check, you have a paper trail. So you're able to follow the accountability, the chain of custody, where this money went to this money to this money. You could follow the moolah, the cash. If signatures don't matter, I mean, the safeguards that require the signature don't matter either. And if the safeguards don't matter, then the trust completely collapses and the whole system falls apart. The other question is that where was this energy in 2020? Remember what happened when people raised questions back then, like all of us. We were called election deniers, conspiracy theorists, we're threats to democracy. We got social media bans. I mean, careers were destroyed. Medias would just pile on. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's crazy. But now, years later, just officials just quietly admit, yeah, we didn't follow the rules. What are you going to do about it? No outrage, by the way. No outrage from the media. There was no emergency press conferences about it. No primetime coverage whatsoever. I mean, this is a real scandal, dude. This is crazy. Not that rules were broken, but that the media told you that they weren't broken. Politicians said questioning was dangerous and accountability was delayed until it was politically safe. When people say all those things to you, you automatically pretty much know that something nefarious took place. And I know I don't need to tell you that, but that's pretty much the truth. Whenever you're told by the media that the rules weren't broken, that means they were. Whenever a Democrat tells you something didn't happen, it happened. Whenever Democrats call you racist, it's probably because they're racist. I mean, just flip the script on everything pretty much, and you'll almost always be right. That is a helpful tip. The obvious unanswered questions are these. These are ones that I would like resolved. Why were unsigned tapes accepted in the first place? Like, who was it that allowed that to happen? I mean, who made the call to certify them? So there's two questions there. Why were unsigned tapes accepted? Who made the call to certify them anyways? Why wasn't this disclosed immediately? And how many other counties cut corners? Would this ever have come out without outside pressure is another one. And the big one is, would this have actually swayed the election? Did Donald Trump win 3 times? And if it's happening in Fulton County, and by the way, even if those were Republican votes that were counted, they're still fraudulent. You still don't accept them. So he still could have lost, but you still don't accept them in the same way. I've always said this. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. If you're doing voter fraud, guess what? Your vote doesn't count. It's not that hard to sign the piece of paper and have it match. If the signature doesn't match, guess what? It doesn't get counted. But for some reason, we can't have actual integrity in our elections. God forbid. It's so terrible that we have accountability. God awful. I know. Shocking. We have this news story coming up in just one moment. Again, if you could hit that like and subscribe button, it'd be greatly appreciated, folks. Always greatly appreciated. What's up, Disney? Good to see you in the chat. I see Mizzy's in here. A bunch of other people. Jeff's in here. Pat's in here. Miss Mom. A bunch of people. Becklin. I always put an L in there. I don't know why. Well, California told teachers to lie. A federal judge said no. So just days before Christmas, a federal judge delivered a ruling that completely detonates one of California's most radical education policies. Check this one out. There's a law that forced teachers to hide children's gender transitions from parents has now been blocked permanently. And the ruling is devastating for the state. I talked about this years ago. We used to push a lot of this stuff that's happening to our children in the education system and how terrible it was. And I always highlight this. We were so known for doing this that we were highlighted in a positive manner on Project Veritas. I talked about this. And the specific situation I talked about was I was in a training, a faculty PD meeting. And this was up in LA when I used to work up there. And we were forced to hide a child's transition from parents. And that was the conversation. It kind of unraveled because we had a LGBTQ elemental P alphabet soup community member come in and was giving us a training on trans identity. And I will never forget, you kind of sit in your departments. You don't have to, but that's kind of how, people work with people close to them. So they tend to hang out with them more. And I will never forget looking across the way at the table over was the science department. Usually math and science will always sit next to each other. Because we just get one another. We're very logical, reasonable people, problem solvers. And dude, I will never forget this. There was a wheel on this piece of paper that she passed out. I forgot what was on it. It was like how you could transition or whatever. And dude, they were all turning the paper to try to figure out how the hell this works. Because you could just see their brain was not computing, because you cannot change from male to female, female to male. They were all, even if they were lefties, were like, what the, that's not possible. That can't happen. It was so funny. Well, anyways, it got brought up because we use a system called Aries usually, and it's for attendance. You can find out like a student's all their grades, like everything about them, from their medical history to if they have any like allergies to all their priors. And what I mean by that is have they had the detention, all their write-ups, have they been suspended? I mean, you go back all the way to middle school. So there's everything in there for you as a teacher that you would need. And it's very valuable. Well, one of the things is that say the guy's name's David in the Aries. I mean, Aries has to usually be like a legal name. And the only way to change that is by a parent or a legal guardian. So that is like their legal name is in Aries. Only way to change that is by a legal parent or guardian. Well, what happens if David wants to be called Jessica because they're trans? There's no way for you to know that, by the way. No way whatsoever. They never told you. You could be fired for that. If you misgender or mispronoun a student, you could be let go in the state of California. And I said that was a big problem. I didn't say this in the meeting. But what you were seeing was, and I shared this with ABL, this is why ABL talks about it. I'm the one that broke the news to him. Give myself a little pat on the back. Is they'll put braids in their hair. These are men or boys. And women do it too if they want to be whatever. They'll wear a pigtail sometimes with different color braids, or they'll wear like a bracelet that's a specific color, or sometimes a t-shirt. And that is the signify what they want to be called for that day, or what pronoun they prefer that day, by the color that they're wearing or have on. It could be like a ring. It could be something small, earrings. And you're supposed to know what that pronoun and gender is of the day. Well, that's fluid to them. Not in real life. That doesn't work in real life, right? It's not fluid. But they can go to the bathroom and switch out that bracelet, that ring, or whatever. And now they're no longer Jessica or David. Now they're Rachel. You just got fired. It's a problem. It's crazy. And so the school psychologist told us that you're not allowed to disclose information if a child's going through a gender transition. You're not allowed to disclose that to the parents. The kid has to do it. And you can be fired if you do. If I ever left teaching, I will let you know what school that is. That I refer to. But that is a real thing in the state of California. By the way, that is also crazy. You should never hide anything from parents, in my opinion. Parents are the number one educators. I mean, if anything, as much as we teach in the school system, I mean, don't get me off on a tangent here, but if I'm teaching them math and reading or whatever in school, you should also be teaching them math and reading at home. Just because they're in school all day this is the most development that you're going to have in this child's life. I mean, how many of you go out of your way to learn a ton of stuff after high school or college? Not really. I mean, how many of you are sitting down right now learning about string theory or something that's actually interesting? Maybe some of you are, but I'm talking about really learning it to the point where you can actually do it as a profession, or you can like teach it or something. Not many people. We don't have time. Now is the time to learn all these things so that when you do progress as an adult, you have all that information, or you've inculcated certain values in yourself that if you studied something and you can learn very quickly, then you can learn things even more important to your life that can, make it even better. I don't know. I'm trying to spitball here. Anyways, back to this. Again, a law that forced teachers to hide children's gender transitions from parents has now been blocked permanently. What California was doing is, under the California policy, teachers were required to hide a child's gender identity from their parents. And not just gender identity. Please understand this. This is their gender identity changes, to be specific. Their use of preferred pronouns without parental consent, and actively withhold information parents would normally receive from their own child. You guys, if you want that in plain English, teachers were mandated to lie by omission. You can't get upset with all the teachers. I'm a conservative. I don't want to lie to parents, but I also have to feed people. I have to feed my family. Like, it sucks that your child's going through this. I would love to tell you, but I'm not going to be fired and get my teacher credential revoked. Are you kidding me? Why would anybody that took years to get a credential, just a degree in college, my master's, I have a master's degree, but then you have to take another 2 years of induction in the state of California. In the state of California, you having a degree, that is like the basic step. After your degree, to become a teacher in the state of California, to be a licensed by the state educator, you have to do another 2 years of induction at a university. That's just another 2 years. I basically almost have a PhD at this point. I already did the 2-year master program, and then you have to do another 2 years on top of that just to get your teaching credential that you have to pay for, by the way. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to lose my job and my career that I worked hard for, that I paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for. Probably to the tune of $70,000, I think, altogether between masters and my induction program. Yeah, I don't think so. And truthfully, you're not running into a ton of trans kids. I would definitely say a lot more than when we grew up, that's for sure. But you're not really running into it. Depends where you're at. Obviously, up in LA, you're running into it quite often. But, well, who challenged it? The case was brought by 2 Christian public school teachers who said the state was forcing them to violate their religious beliefs, violate parent rights, definitely, and participate in deception they believed harmed children. Guess what? There's a reason why I don't work at that school anymore. Now, to be fair, my contract was up, but I wouldn't have lasted there long anyways, because that I can't get behind that. That's crazy, dude. And they didn't just challenge the policy for themselves. They challenged it statewide. The ruling that stopped everything was the U.S. District Court Judge Roger Bennett and issued a class-wide permanent injunction, meaning California can no longer enforce its gender secrecy policies anywhere in the state. The Thomas More Society, which filed a lawsuit, called the end of California's dangerous and unconstitutional regime of gender secrecy policies in schools. Now, what you got to ask yourself is, if they're willing to hide something like this from you, what other stuff are they willing to hide? That's what you have to ask yourself. What is going on in these campuses that if they're willing to hide this on a state level, what other stuff are they willing to hide from you? That's the questions you have to ask. And there's a lot, because we've uncovered it. Underground clubs where even the administration and the faculty don't even know about it, that the kids are hosting. And you have some weirdo psycho activist teacher that's the one running it. And it's off books. And you get these drag people coming in thongs and underwear and are dancing in front of your kid, and you had no idea about it. That's a real thing. That is not satire. I know it sounds crazy. Like there's no way in hell. We've uncovered this stuff, you guys. We've shown you footage. Go back. You have to go back years in my video catalog. You will see all this stuff. I've talked about it. You could just maybe even search. We'll see if it even comes up. Usually if you search Bald Brad, my stuff doesn't really come up too often. But if you search Bald Brad, teaching or gender stuff, or I don't know, you'll see it. The thumbnails are there. You'll know exactly which ones I'm talking about. Oh, you'll know. There were 4 questions that decided the case. Do parents have a Fourth Amendment right to receive gender-related information about their children? Is that right also protected by the First Amendment's free exercise clause? Do religious teachers have the right to share that information with parents? And do teachers have a First Amendment right to communicate accurate information to parents? His answer to every single one of those, by the way, was yes. The line that buried California's argument was this, and this is what the judge wrote. Quote, parents have a right to receive gender information, and teachers have a right to provide to parents accurate information about a child's gender identity, end quote. I mean, that sentence alone destroys the entire framework of California's and what they were trying to impose upon everybody. The class divided the state ignored. The judge also highlighted something Democrats never liked to talk about, and that was wealth. The judge noted that affluent parents can pull kids from public schools, they can homeschool, or move districts, but middle and lower income families, well, they're stuck. In California's policy, he wrote, undermine their constitutional rights while pretending to act in children's best interest. Keyword there, pretending. The trifecta of harm was also established. So what do I mean by that? The judge didn't mince words when he talked about the damage that these policies can cause. And he gave kind of a trifecta of harm here, where they harm the child by cutting parents out when guidance or mental health intervention may be needed. And by the way, you have school psychologists that are hiding this from parents, just to let you know. They harm parents. So they harm the child, they harm parents by stripping them of long recognized rights to care for and make decisions for their children. They harm the teachers by forcing them to violate their conscience and lie to families. That is the rough one. I mean, I've always said the education system is completely fake. I'm not somebody that hides it. Harvard came out with a study. UCSD came out with a 54-page study that I've highlighted and read every single page of. It's all fake. It's all bogus. And you say it, and even my own audience, by the way, goes, I don't mean to poke at you guys, but Merry Christmas, by the way. But it's true. I've talked about it for years. I mean, wouldn't you think that's a little alarming when you have somebody go, just let you know the entire education system is completely fake? Yeah, all those grades are fake. Yeah, kids going to college is completely fake. It actually doesn't even make sense that the average IQ is actually lowered, but yet more people are graduating college than ever, which is usually a high IQ type of education. Yeah, graduation rates are 99% to 100%. I know a high school in Southern California, that high school that 100% graduation rate. No way. Statistically not going to happen. Impossible. It's impossible. I shouldn't say impossible. Unlikely. Sorry. Let's get you have to be so specific. When you see anybody boasting 95, 99% graduation rate, you should kind of raise red flags in your head. All the while they're saying, oh, absenteeism so bad. People just aren't showing up to school. They're not doing their work. They can't read or do arithmetic at an elementary school level, but they're graduating high school at 100%, 95%. Really? Nobody's going to go, gee, how is that possible? They have 4.0s, but can't do elementary school math. And people think I'm joking. UCSD has 12.5% of their freshman class can't do elementary school math, not even middle school. And they had 4.0s? Nobody's going to go, gee, it's a little weird. I mean, if you had a kid that's currently in school, wouldn't you be kind of alarmed that you have somebody telling you that right now going, hey, buddy, your kid's grade is fake? Yeah, they don't actually know what you think that they know. If they're in 6th grade, they ain't doing 6th grade, man. Just letting you know. So if you have a kid, if you're listening to this right now, hello. Hello. Yeah. Well, no, my kid has straight A's. Take out the headphones. Well, actually, maybe keep them in because you won't be able to hear me. No, they don't. No, they don't. Give them a test this weekend. Not that you would, it's Christmas, but give them you can print one out online. Make it up. No, they don't. Actually, there's a great, I just want to show you this real quick. I have to show you this. I'm sorry, I'm on a tangent now. But that's why you guys come here. I'm ranting. By the way, viewership's dropping. I can't take this anymore. What I've always noticed, what's interesting, and this goes with both sides of the aisle. I'm not paid by a corporation. I'm going to say what I think. Whenever I expose the truth about things, especially when it comes to education, my viewership always drops and I watch it. That's why I'm looking up here at the top, because I'm watching it go down. And that's fine with me, because I'm not going to hide this and I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend like it's not happening. That ain't me, man. I am very real and I'm very straightforward. And I'm a very blunt person. I want to show you something. And I want to see if I could find it here, because she made a great point, and it proves what I'm saying. Hold on, give me one moment. Let's see if I could find it. I want to see if it is if it's here. If not, we'll have to find it elsewhere. I am glad you are speaking out. Full speed ahead, Brad. Say it for all of us. You have the platform we don't. I appreciate that. But it's true, though. Whenever what I found is when people don't, it's very odd to me. I can't find it. I'll just tell you what it was. So the CEO of PragerU had Patrick Bet-David on the podcast, and she read what 4th graders used to read. And it was jaw-dropping because it's nowhere remotely. When she read it, I was like, this is something that maybe a 12th grader would get nowadays. Excuse me, I'm not exaggerating. I just burped in the mic. I apologize. I'm not exaggerating when I say this is probably like 4th grade, what she read. Legitimately, I know for a fact some of 12th graders cannot read some of the words in there. I know for a fact, 100% guaranteed. I have to read some words to people. I don't mean to beat them up. I love them. They're great people, but they don't know how to read. That not only is math is always an issue. You have to compound that now. I teach statistics. Statistics are all word problems, you guys. The math, it's all words. The math is, you have to do the math, but then you have to interpret all that. It's just all writing. So you can't BS your way through statistics. Why most people struggle, right? You could BS your way usually through math in some way, shape, or form. Not statistics, you can't. Well, one of my biggest battles is they can't read the problems. And please understand, I'm not saying this is like 1 or 2. This is a lot of people can't read and understand the problem. And they'll ask me to read it to them aloud. This is 12th grade. These people are going to like nice schools, man. They've already been committed to universities and they can't read. It's terrible. And then my question is, how'd you get into my class? This is the end of the road. It's either statistics or calculus. I mean, you can barely do math. You can't even read. It's a major problem. And I hope somebody listens and goes, yeah, we need to talk about this on a. I know somebody in the Trump administration. I need to reach out to them today. I need to reach out to them today and actually catch up. because this is something I think needs to go to I think it does need to go to the President of the United States, actually. And we're a small show. I just am fortunate enough to know a couple people in that administration just by chance. And I'm going to send a text message, I think, after today's show and say, hey, I would love to catch up with you, but I also want to give you some information I think is prudent to letting somebody know. They have very close connections to, I'm not going to say who I know, but they have extremely close connections to the topmost people in this government. There's only two people that were on a ticket that you know of. And I say, can talk in their ear. Let's put it that way. So I think I'm going to send a text message today because I'm tired of moaning and complaining about this on my show. We don't get a ton of viewership. This needs to go up higher because it's completely fake and it's disingenuous, and something needs to change from the behavioral level to a grade-wise level. Now, the issue that you'd have is I don't like the federal government coming down. I just want a megaphone for somebody else to say, yeah, it's all fake. It's not real. Everything's BS. People can't read, but yet they have 4.0s going into college. That doesn't make any sense. It's up to the states to change it. It's not up to Donald Trump, JD Vance, or anybody else. It's a state level problem, just as this was. I mean, what the government saw here in this situation was that California, the state, was arguing that they were protecting children, but the court saw it as government secrecy. I mean, you're forcing people to comply with something that was objectively wrong. And I would say it's an ideological overreach, and so did the court. The state asked the court to rewrite parental rights, which is crazy. And the ruling matters nationally because this sets a precedent that other states will now have to reckon with. Signals that parental rights still exist under the Constitution and warns school systems that secrecy is not neutrality. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's unfortunately very, very sad. 12th grade here in MD are reading at 5th grade levels. I'll give you guys some words and examples. Words like gap. There's a gap between something. They don't know the word cluster. Width, WIDTH. They don't know width. Reconsider. I'm trying to pull these off the top of my head of things I've seen numerous times. Downside. They don't know downside. I'm trying to think off the top of my head at like 7:17 in the morning here. There's a lot of them. You say, well, Brad, there's so many you could come off the top of your head. Yeah, but I'm trying to think of the specific words that I've gotten numerous amounts of times. I mean, the big one is having to read aloud this year. For the first time ever, I've been teaching almost a decade. I've had to read questions aloud in a high level of mathematics. You guys, please understand, I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm not trying to be extreme. I'm giving you what is real. And I actually work at a great school. That means people are underperforming everywhere else. It's bad, man. And by the way, my English and reading and writing is not that great, but it ain't what I'm seeing. I really wish I could find that video. Let me see. I want to show it to you because she actually reads it aloud. Gregor, you. Check David. Let me see if I can find the clip. I know it was on Instagram. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it. Anyways, she reads it. Let's go to the chat here really quick. That is pathetic. It is. They can't read the original Constitution written in cursive. Eventually, they could change it. The nice thing is they're bringing cursive back. Obviously, it's going to take a while to see the fruit of that, but they're here again. The issue is time. You're going to have multiple generations now that don't know how to read and do basic math. That whole college degree is completely fake. If I ever ran a business, I would never look at a college degree. Oh, where are you coming from? I might glance at it, but nowadays I know that it's all fake. It wouldn't mean anything to me. If you're somebody that's in business, you looking at Harvard's having the same issue. Harvard came out with their own study. I encourage you to read it. UCSD, the entire UC system it's all fraudulent. It's all fake. I made math fun for my son. I was a craps dealer. I called craps the math game. Yeah, I know craps. Yep. Why do kids hate reading TV? I went through a book a week when I was a kid. Well, it's because they have video games now. They can't. Do you remember? I'll give you guys a great example. And I witnessed this even today, like nowadays, is remember how like when we got to watch a movie in class, it was like the biggest thing for us. Like our minds were blown if we got to watch a video in class. And the way you knew was the TV was out, right? They would roll that big old box of a TV out on one of those big platforms. You know what I mean? Now, some of you are old enough where you couldn't even watch TV in the classroom because you're freaking archaic, but they would wheel the thing in. So when you came into class and you saw the TV there, you know, at least you're watching something. And even if it wasn't like a movie or a documentary, you would watch like a clip of something and your mind was like, oh my God. And you would be, you're quiet. You're thanking the heavens that you got to watch something. Nowadays, you'd be lucky if you can get their buy-in for 5 minutes. I showed a documentary, Dave Ramsey's documentary. I counted out of 34, might be a little bit more than that. No, sorry, not 34, 45. 5 people paid attention. 40 people did not pay attention to a documentary that was about student loans and the destruction that it's caused on people. The lack of value. People always say, oh, you got to make it fun. You have to make them. I'm teaching people how to guarantee pretty much how to become millionaires. I am teaching people on if they start doing these principles now, it's not a matter of if they'll be a millionaire. It's a matter of when they will be a millionaire and ready for retirement. No F's given on a massive scale. You can teach somebody how to do all these great and amazing things. All of you would say, wow, finance is such an important thing to teach. We should do that in all schools. Kids say they care. They always say they care, you guys. They don't. They don't. It does not matter what you do. You can throw pizza parties every day. Doesn't matter, dude. You can show fun movies. They don't watch them. They will sleep. They will do something else. They'll want to be on their phones. They're not able to be bored. That's what it comes down to. All of us used to go on big old long trips, right? 4, 5, 6, 12 hours. And our game was to watch the raindrop on our window, see how long it would take to get either to the bottom or connect to another one and draw a certain pattern. That was what we did in the car. We sat there and listened to our parents argue with one another about directions because they got lost, or we listened to the radio, or we sat there quietly for 10 or 12 hours. You don't get that nowadays. What technology has done to this generation is horrible, and I have to watch it. What you realize is you're going to work in the morning after maybe dropping your kid off to school or whatever. You don't see them from 8 to 3 or 4 o'clock. And sometimes even later if they go to a daycare. Meaning you don't even see your kid majority of the time. So all of that stuff, that watch time that you give them, that screen time, that TV, the video games, all that garbage nonsense, you don't see the impact of it because you're not even around them. And by the time that you do see them, you're like, oh, well, you've been at school all day, so I guess some video games are worth it. They're not coming home and reading for leisure and to learn. They're not doing math. They're not on the internet trying to figure things out and problem solve. None of that. You got to go to sports. You got to play baseball. You got to play hockey. And then we all have to act dumb, and we have to pretend that when somebody graduates, oh, why don't they know? I was talking to a buddy of mine, a family member, and they have a friend that graduated high school, a very recognizable high school with over a 4.0 GPA. She got into a really good school. She's flunking out. She had over a 4.0 in high school, and everyone bragged about her. And when I told them, we were talking about the education system. I was like, oh yeah, it's fake. And he was kind of baffled, and I was telling him about UCSD, and it really messed him up. And his like mind was blown. He's an older guy. He's like in his 60s. Really great person. And it really bothered him. And after over a couple family parties, he like, came to me and he's like, you know, Brad, this is like, after what you said, like really, he's like, I'm having a tough time with this. Like when people see the truth of what's really going on, they're hearing it from the horse's mouth. If you knew how bad it is, you too would lose sleep over it. And it's systemic. And so he was telling me, he's like, you know, I always wondered why my buddy's daughter was struggling in college. Because she had like a 4.0, or higher than 4.0. She took AP classes. She's like the top of her class. And then she gets in the university and she's flunking out. She doesn't know anything. He goes, but you made that click for me. That's why. It's sad. And look, I'm not a savant. I'm not better than anybody else. I'm just telling you what's going on. Choose to believe it or not. You can do your own research. UCSD is a study. I learned to drive a stick shift in a bug. You know, I actually don't know how to drive a dick shift. Thank God I don't know how to drive that. There's a blooper for you. Addiction. I don't know how to drive a stick shift. Holy Lordy, I'm turning red. That is funny. I was never taught. I want to learn. I just need to go out and do it. That is hilarious. Oh my God. My mom knows how to drive a stick shift, and I believe she actually taught my dad, if I have that correctly. Can't remember, or my dad taught her. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure my mom taught my dad. I can't remember, but Fulton County is large. Bets, we're past Fulton County, girl. That was a long time ago. Dixie, I learned on a bug too. The VWs, man. I remember. Oh gosh. I'm exposing. We went to I was a kid. I must have been in elementary school. And we were out front of a liquor store. My mom was driving, I think it was a 64 VW Bug. It was either yellow or red. And we're outside a liquor store. She fires it up because, you know, the engine's in the back. And, you know, you guys remember the freaking cranking of that on a VW Bug? It's just a window crank sucked on those things. And the chairs, the springs in the chairs, because once they kind of get worked in a little bit, you're not sitting on cushion, man. And they used to have that like fake vinyl rubber. I don't know what the hell you call it, but then when the sun's beating on it and you sit back, you like singe your back, like, oh God. So you had those in VW Bugs. And the springs are just poking you in the back, right? Once they get worked in, y'all know what I'm talking about. And you're laughing right now. The steering wheel's all hot because it was just a bar. There was nothing on it. Anyways, we're parked out front of this liquor store. She fires it up and we're like, da, 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 you know, letting it kind of get going, putting our stuff around, blah, blah. And this lady comes up in an SUV. She goes, your car's on fire. We're like, what? Yeah, your car is on fire. The engine exploded and the car's on fire. We're looking back, holy hell. And my mom's like gathering all her stuff. Well, you know, if you know anything about these old VWs, their doors don't really work that well. Nothing really worked that well. The thing would stall out at a stop sign, you know, when it's cold out. You know what I'm talking about. And, you know, you got to sit there and try to, you know, get the clutch. You're trying to crank it, trying to get it going. Well, anyways, the thing was on fire and I had to climb over my mom's side. My mom's taking her sweet ass time getting all her crap out of the car. I'm like, yo, your engine's on fire. So I'm a survivor is what I'm saying. I'm a survivor. It's a real story, by the way. I drove VW Bugs majority of my life. I remember driving down the highway listening to Alanis Morissette on cassette tape and VW Bug. No AC. You got to crank the thing and just put your head out the window like a dog. And you know stuff. You know with those seats too, man. When it's hot out in California, and I live right on the coast there. I used to surf. My parents used to surf. I didn't really surf. I had bodyboard, but my parents met surfing. And it's hot, dude. And those seats bake you, man. I'd be happy to teach you how to drive one. I bet you would. I learned to drive stick in a Rabbit. I taught all my friends and cousins to drive a stick as I learned when I was about 5 in the hayfield. It's always interesting to hear where you guys learned all this stuff. I've never been in one. They're fun. They're cool. The VW Bugs are cool. I think it's going to be like, I've been in a Tesla before. I don't own one. I don't know if I could do electric, man. I really like the feel of the vehicle because I like to hear the engine. And I would imagine that's pretty important driving stick, because you'd want to know, you don't need to look at the RPMs. You can actually listen to the engine and know when you need to shift. I could be totally mistaken, but I believe that's a thing. I like the feel of the engine. Electric's very weird to me. We used to take it to the snow. It was a blast until reverse went out. My best friend had a 64 green VW. I had the baby blue 74. My buddy's dad had a really nice Andrew. He was my coach. Again, I was like in 4th or 5th grade. He would turtle wax his VW Bug, and he had the 2 exhaust pipes that would come out the back, and those were all chromed out. It was a pretty cool looking VW Bug, but he had a really nice one. I was just down in Huntington a few months ago, Huntington Beach, and they were doing a VW bus car show, which was really cool. So everybody had their own interior and stuff like that opened up. It was such a cool event down there on Main Street down in Huntington Beach. That's where they do a lot of those on the street interviews with like James Klug. That's where I'm referring to. So we were down there, just getting a cup of coffee. I like to walk on the pier every now and then, see what the guys are fishing, catching and stuff like that. And, checking that out. My cousin's grandpa used to let us ride in the very back compartment inside the back window to the bakery for donuts on Saturdays. Wasn't that cool when we used to just be able to get in the back of a pickup truck and just drive around? It was no problem. We used to do that all the time as kids. I remember going to camp. My family used to camp all the time. We used to go to a campground. I mean, this kid was like 10 years old driving his dad's pickup truck around the campground, and we just hop in the back of it. My dad used to let me shift growing up. I was about 9 shifting for him. I am over a stick. Carpooling killed the fun of that. Oh. Driving tractors and such helped, I bet. Karen says, the Uber Teslas I took after surgery sucked. Getting out of the back seat with a compromised hip was an accident waiting to happen. Nothing to hold on to. Oh God, I don't even want to think about that. That just sounds gross. Oh God. Anyways, we'll end the show there. We will have Dark Maga today at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we'll go over video clips and kind of hang out for a while. And just appreciate you guys always joining me. Hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed what you saw here. We do this each and every morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we bring you the news. And not really much of my opinion, but I just kind of say what's going on, and it's whether you to believe it or not, and you to research more information about it. Have a blessed day. Read some scripture. Pray for Donald Trump. Pray for America. Pray for friends and family. Pray for everybody in the chat. Power of prayer is effective. And folks, we'll see you later here on the Will Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.